Okay, good morning. I'm gonna try something here today. We have 12 people taking German 1 remotely, and I'm recording myself right now. And I'm gonna do something on the screen, but then share my screen and hopefully it records and they can watch it later on. So, guten Morgen. Hi guys. Do you guys wanna say guten Morgen to them? Go ahead. Dankeschön. Yeah, we got one person. So, what's up? Let's try this. Hello. I'll come around and shoot you in the forehead with a laser. But what I'd like everybody to do is open up your email. Go to your email. All right, so you guys watching at home, I sent out an email this morning. Well, actually, I typed in your email address to our computer, to our textbooks website. Your textbook is made by a publishing company called EMC. And when I type in your email address, it generates a code and a password for you, so you can access that on your own. And I want you to see if you can find that email. Hopefully it came in the last 20 minutes. Anybody already opened their email and like delete it? That happens a lot. If you can.
I already got it.
It should have come from EMC something. Go up to the top. Let's see if it's. Yeah, welcome to Bookshelf is what it says. It's from no reply. So you guys at home, this would have come from no reply. And then it'll say, welcome to Bookshelf. Welcome to Bookshelf. Anybody need some extra help? I think you need to create an account. Or does login work? And it's got, put your email in. Did it send you a password in that email?
No, I just can't.
Okay.
Oh, it might be because I'm.
That's probably, yeah, because we use the same account.
Use the same.
Well, with the same publisher.
Yeah,
Does it? Try that. Yeah, so it comes with a password in the email. Try copying and pasting that in. So where it says email, put your email, then password, copy and paste that. Yep. Did you take French? Go back, like, to the front page, go log in. No, up here. Yeah. Then put in your email and go back to your email, copy and paste that password there. See if that works. Yeah. Try going back and just go to log in. And then username for your email, and then there's a password back on that email. if you're in, go ahead and start looking around. Start messing with your textbook. Guys, I'm gonna pause for a minute to help some folks out. All right, so remote learners, we might have had some hiccups. If you do, send me an email and let me know. But what you want to do to log in is access that email. It's from no reply in EMC bookshelf. Put in your full email address and then the password that's listed there. For some reason, we've had some issues with people not getting their password. Let me know and we'll try and figure it out. But I'm gonna walk you through a fun PowerPoint to show you around. Your book is called Deutsch Aktuell 1. It's what we'll use all of German 1. In German 2, we'll finish Deutsch Aktuell 1 and then move on to Deutsch Aktuell 2. It's a fairly decent textbook series, in my opinion. We don't do everything in there. My first couple, probably 3 or 4 years, we did all of it. And then I started to realize a lot of that wasn't really valuable. So we do some of it. It is nice to have a framework to look through. First, I would ask you to skim through your pages, but we can skip that. Let's just get a basic rundown of the textbook. It's broken up into chapters and sections. We will take quizzes over each section. So there's an A and a B. How many sections are there? 2. And tests over each chapter. A lot of times the section B quiz will just be the chapter test. And other times we won't take a test at all. I'll have you from time to time create a project to show me you understand what we're doing rather than taking like an actual test. Turn to page 1. Page 1. So page 1 says hello, and we looked at this together the other day. I do always like to start out by asking, how do people in other countries greet each other and say goodbye? There will be different questions to help guide the learning, and usually those tie into like, they're conversation starters, like how do we think about culture? And this course might be one of the first times you've been asked to really consider what is American culture, what is Iowa culture, because we'll need a framework in order to understand what it means when we talk about German culture. There's a lot that goes on with culture, like culture can be the music people listen to or the food they eat, but there's a lot of values underneath the surface that we try and talk about in German class. I think those are the conversations that make this course the most fun. Turn to page 21. So hopefully you're getting a little bit familiar with the way to change pages. You can do it one at a time, or you can go somewhere on there and do jump to page. Mine looks like this. This is what Lektion B. Lektion means section. So this is section B. And typically your chapters will start out on the A and B with phrases. So on that page, we see a pretend conversation in front of a bakery or a cafe. We see some distinction between formal and informal ways to ask questions, like wie geht es Ihnen versus wie geht's, nicht schlecht, und dir, und Ihnen. But this is the start of Lektion B. Now let's look at page 37. See if you can find that page in your book. 37. That. So, page 37, we see the vocabulary. Here we see the vocabulary for this chapter. Let's do something real quick. I want to walk you through and pronounce all these. Do you have it open? This will be your first chance to say these out loud. Those of you at home, do this with us. It'll be kind of awkward feeling, but I think you can handle it. We're going to start at the top. We're going to go all the way through. Sometimes we'll only do the A words. Sometimes we'll only do the B words. This time we'll do all of them. And I might stop for a second and point some things out. But the first one at the top of the list is alt. Try saying it with me, alt.
Alt.
Gut. Well, sorry. Next up, we got aus. Say it with me, aus. Bekannte. Notice next to bekannte, we have the word die. Say that with bekannte with me. Die bekannte. Any guesses on what die means? The. In German, we'll have 3 words so far for die. I mean, for the. We'll have der, die, and das. Why? Because I don't have a great answer why somebody at some point didn't just decide to use the word the, but German has 3 noun genders, meaning every noun is assigned either masculine, feminine, or neutral. Sometimes there's a process to it, other times it's quite random. For example, the word book is das Buch. That one's neutral. But table is der Tisch. Why is table masculine and book is neutral? I have no good reason for you. A flag is die Fahne. Computer is der Computer. A marker is der Stift. The floor is der Boden. A whiteboard is die Tafel. A clock is die Uhr. These are all just fairly random as to whether they're masculine, feminine, or neutral, but it's something we kind of have to deal with. Spanish has 2, French has 2, German, we got 3. Yeah. Next up, say this with me, da.
Da.
Da means there. Das.
Das.
Das means that. It'll also be used as one of the thes. Dein.
Nein.
Du.
Du.
Die Ecke.
Die Ecke.
Ein.
Ein.
Er. Es.
Es.
Die Frau.
Die Frau.
Der Freund.
Der Freund.
Die Freundin.
Die Freundin.
Ganz.
Ganz.
Gehen.
Gehen.
Gleich.
Gleich.
Gut. Grüß dich.
Grüß dich.
Gut.
Gut.
Hallo.
Hallo.
Heißen.
Heißen.
Der Herr.
Der Herr.
Hier.
Hier.
Ich.
Ich.
Ihr.
Hier.
Interessant.
Interessant.
Ja.
Ja.
Der Junge.
Der Junge.
Gut. Kennen.
Kennen.
Kommen.
Kommen.
Das Mädchen.
Das Mädchen.
Mein.
Mein.
So we've seen some of these before. We've used and seen words like hair. You've had hair clog. We've said hello. I've said gut a lot. But some of these are brand new to us. Up to the top, we've got minus. Die Minute. Nein. Nett. Neu. Nicht. Nur. Plus. Schlecht. Sehr. Sein. Sie. Sie. Der Tag. Die Telefonnummer. Good. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao is just like tschüss. Say tschüss with me, tschüss.
Tschüss.
Ciao is borrowed from Italian, and then Germans just kind of modified the spelling and use it quite a bit. Tschüss and ciao. Und, viel, von, weit, wer, wie, Wiedersehen, wir, wirklich, wo, woher, wohnen. Good. All right. So the vocab for every chapter will be at the end of each chapter. These are all the words that will help you out with understanding chapter 1. And at the end of every chapter, there will be a set of vocab. Turn to page X in the front of your book, page X. Yeah. Roman numeral 10. Okay, So you're going to become more familiar with Europe in general, or Europa. Have a look at the countries. We've got Deutschland in the middle. Over to the left of Deutschland, we've got Niederlande und Belgien und Frankreich. Are we able to pretty well understand what these countries are? Yeah. Italian, Spanian. Some of them are kind of totally different. Like Tschechische Republik is the Czech Republic. Or Vereinigtes Königreich. You see Vereinigtes Königreich. Look over in the middle of the ocean here. What country is Vereinigtes Königreich? Vereinigt means united. Königreich means kingdom. So that's the United Kingdom or the UK or Great Britain, whichever you want to call it. So just looking at Europe, we will notice some differences on spelling and pronunciation, but it's mostly cognates. Let's turn to page XII, Roman numeral 12. Looks like this. Das ist Deutschland. Do you know Germany has states? No, probably. You didn't need to. Yeah. Yeah, we've got Bremen, Hamburg, Berlin. Those are 3 cities that are actually states. Then we've got, starting at the top, Schleswig-Holstein, Niedersachsen, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. I don't need to list them all, but if you ever wonder how many there are, you can look at the map and the flag in the back of the room by Tommy and Riley. It is 4x4 with different flags. Those are the 16 German states. They're called Bundesländer auf Deutsch. There are 16 of them. Some are quite big, like Bayern or Bavaria. Some are really small, like those cities I mentioned, or we've got one called Saarland, tucked down in the left-hand corner. In the bottom left, it's pretty small too. There's a map of Austria on page 13, Roman numeral 13. Unfortunately for Austria, we don't talk about it nearly as much as Germany. All right, turn to page 105, 105. There's the jump to page function. I'm sorry, guys, at home, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. I've been going through these slides and you missed out on a bunch of those. So hopefully you were able to follow along. But on 105, we see a dictionary section for a specific chapter. This is chapter 3. We looked at chapter 1 already, but notice there's usually about 50 to 60 words, and we break those up into 2. The best thing you can do for yourself as we go through German 1 is practice the vocabulary on Quizlet and Gimkit outside of class once or twice a week. Doesn't even have to be very long. But I'm kind of going to count on the fact that you're doing that, especially right before we take a quiz or a test. Turn to page 453. See if you can jump to that page. (453), we see a German-English dictionary. All of the words that are listed in the back of each chapter are put together as one dictionary in the back of your book, starting on 453. It's a great place to look words up. We're going to use other websites to look words up. A lot of language teachers have a very hate-filled relationship with Google Translate. I hate when students use Google Translate to copy and paste full sentences or paragraphs. but I do not mind when you use Google Translate to look up a word to help you build on what you know. Okay, I'm done fighting Google Translate. I used to try and ban it on land school so that anytime you went there, it would send me a notice and like I would come yell at you. I'm done doing that because Google Translate is going to be around forever. And you need to learn to use it to help you learn German rather than me just tell you never use it. Another good website to use is called leo.org, and we'll explore that website together. It's just a dictionary, but to me it does a better job than Google Translate does. All right, let's look very quickly at 448. If you want to jump there. I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but German has a lot of complicated grammar rules. We don't dive into a lot of those until later. And if you ever need to reference something, just know that in the back of your book, starting on 448, there are some guides to those grammar rules. There's also on 451 a helpful list of all the numbers, but that exists at the start of your book too. All right, let's keep moving. Let's look at 165. Jump to page 165 with me. And I'm hoping to have us just look quick at this Hintergrund box, this yellow-orange box, more orange. But whenever we see a Hintergrund box, I'll usually stop and talk to you about them. My favorite parts of class are when students ask questions about these things that get brought up. Like here it talks about Germany and the EU. I'll do a discussion about the EU. Have you heard of this before? The European Union. Most of them share the same currency, the euro. We'll talk about what it means to have sovereignty. They make collective economic and legal decisions. That's been in the news a lot lately since Brexit happened and Great Britain has now left the European Union. So I think it's important for you to know a little bit about the background. It also talks about shopping in Germany. I mean, the biggest fact right there is almost all stores are closed on Sundays, and most stores close at 8 p.m. That's a humongous difference between the US and Germany. Sunday is a day where you're supposed to sit at home and be quiet and spend time with family. So almost all of the shops are closed. We'll get into that more when we get to chapter 5. All right, let's look at 241, then we're just about done with this. This is a Lesestück. This is a reading from chapter 6 or 7, chapter 7. And this is all in German. These will start out very short and then gradually grow and grow until they're 2 or 3 pages long. A lot of times we'll work on these as a whole group. Sometimes I'll have you work on these in small groups. And then usually I'll ask you questions to see how well you comprehend them. One thing I want to point out is you won't necessarily need to be able to understand every single word. When we go and try and do these, we're going to work on training to read for context and use what we do know to help us build meaning. Pictures are important. I mean, just looking at these two guys on 241, what does it look like this reading is about? Shopping. Yeah, they're going to buy some jeans. Okay, so be sure and always look at the pictures. I want to point out on 242 that there's a bunch of words at the very end underneath the guy holding up his pair of jeans. Those are words that are used in the reading that are not, your book does not expect you to know already. But you might have to look at the end where there are numbers to find those. That was a lot of information. It was probably fairly boring for you. Do you have any questions before I ask you to take what I think is a fairly easy quiz? Okay, so log into Powerschool. And next up, I want you to take 2 short assessments on Powerschool. They're called Using DA1 and Math. You can use your notes or your books on both of them, and you can take them both more than once. I want you to do well, so take it until you get 100%. I'm gonna share where that is for the folks watching at home. All right. So on Powerschool, first few weeks, all right. So on Powerschool, first few weeks, we have math and using DA1. They're both practice exams. Basically, I want to see if you are understanding numbers or if you have the notes to help you understand numbers. And then if you were able to follow along with what I just talked about with the textbook. I'd say let's budget 7-8 minutes to get those done. That'll leave us with 7-8 minutes to do something else, and then you'll be able to go somewhere, like third period. All right, folks at home, sorry that was long and probably a little meandering and awkward. Hopefully you watch the whole thing, and we'll see you soon. Tschüss.